All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're on to Morning Ride, and we have our second guest already seated live with us in the studio. Now we're talking autism. Okay, autism is described as a disorder and a broad range of conditions characterized by some challenges. What are these challenges? Before we unveil our guest, we will be, doing justice to many of the questions we will be engaging her on autism today. Let's see our picture frame. We'll be right back. All right, there you have it, the profile of our guest today. Our guest is someone who is so passionate about, anything when it comes to the issue of autism, okay, breaking the cultural silence around this condition. And of course, she's gone all out to provide, quite a lot of things to help the children living with autism to thrive, to come out of it and be able to live well with it. Today we have someone who is a certified special education needs expert and an advanced certified autism specialist, Zusi Bolodeoku. Good to have you join us on Morning Ride.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Pleasure.
That's right. Okay, let's start this way. We're talking autism and special education needs for children. Now, going through your profile, you've got some very interesting career path.
Okay.
You started out with a background in international relations. Looking at the crystal ball, one can easily say that, okay, this is going to be this is a diplomat in the making. And before you know what happened, you dive into the banking sector, receiving fat salary. And before you could say Jack Robinson, you are out there again to education. Now, somebody seeing all of this, the way you move from one, said, look, this lady must be either something is pushing her or she's after something. What is it tell us why you have a special interest in special education needs?
Okay, that is quite clear for me because first and foremost, I would say that I'm living a life of purpose. It's purpose driven.
That's right.
And I have this love for children.
Okay.
However, when I started working in the school, I was fortunate to work in an inclusive school. And that was the first time I pretty much experienced neurodivergent children that struggle, they have different challenges. I'm from a background where everybody is intelligent. My mom was a teacher, so you have to be smart. And I took for granted that children would struggle. Due to my personality, I am an empathizer and a motivator by nature. I took a special interest in these children, and that was how my journey started. Yeah.
Okay, nice one. Nice one. Okay, let's take that a little far. Now, autism, just like you just mentioned, we found out that it's a disorder. I'm just concerned. You know, when you see a cerebral palsy patient, so to say, you can easily tell. All right. In the case of children living with autism, how can you identify them? What are these conditions? What are these challenges? How can you identify them with a view to helping them?
Okay, autism could be hidden, like you said, with cerebral palsy, with Down syndrome. You have the physical appearance, but with autism there may not be anything physical about it. But we advise parents to be watchful, because as early as 4 months, you could really tell if a child will struggle with certain developmental delays. And how do you tell? There's something we call shared emotions. Now we're interacting. You smile at me, I smile at you. You know when you hold a baby that is 4 months old, and you smile at the baby, as a caregiver, as a parent, the baby naturally would smile back, would respond. So that's engagement, that's shared emotions. But with children that do not understand that for me is already a red flag, because autism is characterized by a dyad of features, which are repetitive behavior, as well as social communication disorder or delays, challenges, let's put it that way, speech communication and language challenge. So when you when you notice that this child is not responding, and oftentimes parents get to notice when children struggle to become vocal, when they don't have speech, some people say verbal, they don't speak at 2 years. That's when parents become alarmed, and then they say, oh, something is wrong. However, there are little signs. You see a child that stays alone, they don't want to play with anybody. Children are communal by nature. They would play. They would engage their peers. This child doesn't want to play with anybody. This child has a repetitive pattern. Either the child likes to just line things up on a straight file, or the child keeps flapping their hands or something. We call it automatic response. Or the child just go round and round in circle. There are certain things parents or caregivers should watch out for actually, before they notice this child is not blabbing or saying words or being vocal.
So you've been talking so much about speech.
Yes.
So with what I can get from what you have said is that the speech, the vocal aspect of it is a very pronounced symptoms.
Yes.
Other than that, what else can we watch out for? Because obviously there are no physical symptoms. What else can we watch out for other than the speech, being vocal? And
yes, watching out for the speech, like I said, could be much later, but we could look out for the developmental milestones. Every child there is a time frame to when the child should sit up. There's a time frame to when the child should crawl, when the child should stand up, and all that. However, this child could meet their developmental milestones, and it's when they get to, and they could even start speaking or saying one word, mama or papa or something, and then at 2-3 years they regress. So autism is dynamic. Autism is we call it a broad spectrum. So you can when you meet one person, that has autism, you have met just one person with autism.
So the manifestation could be different from another person.
So it's really broad. It's a spectrum, yes.
Okay, so now, an autistic person, does it affect the child or the individual? Let me not use the word child. Does it affect the individual intellectually? And my question again, and I want to ask you two questions. Does it affect them intellectually? Also, autism, can it be averted?
Okay, I would start with the second question because I'm very interested in that. We get parents come to tell us, I want this child to be normal. In their understanding, they want this child to be like maybe their other siblings, or they want this child to be
like
their
the normal sickness, like you have malaria, you use some drugs, and there's a cure.
There's a cure for it. No, unless as we're speaking now, maybe there's just a current research saying that, because last I checked, there's no cure. However, there is a movement. The movement is, you notice I said neurodivergent. It means different. The brain is different. An autistic brain, the way they perceive things, the way they could perceive a smell, for example, or sight could be more intense or less than the next person. Irons, we are different, by the way. We are all different. So there will be more people, more children, more adults with autism, right? However, the struggles, what we do as specialists is to help this child that is a struggling autistic child become a non-struggling autistic individual. Yes. So now going to your second question, which is intellectual, does it affect their intellectual strength? Ability. If this child is struggling, it's definitely going to. Because one of the criterions of saying that a child has autism is what we call automatic response, which some people will say is sensory processing. And if a child is struggling with their sensories, like they can't settle down to learn, they can't settle down to do anything. So it's definitely going to affect them in learning. But is it an intellectual disability? It is not intellectual. No. It's a lot of people that are autistic, are highly intelligent. They could be singularly focused. And in being singularly focused, they are amazing and great at what they do.
Okay, now, can it be prevented? Like, okay, I can spray my house with insecticides to, avoid coming down with malaria. I can drink good water, eat hygienic food to avert cholera and the likes of it. Can it be prevented, probably from pregnancy, at birth, or something?
Let me just add to that, so that you use that as an addendum question. Okay. Is this autism? Is it what medicine will call congenital? As in being born with it? Or it is acquired while growing up?
Oh, okay. That's a technical question, but I like it because there are we call some things environmental factors, and we call some from the genetic factors, right? To date, we really do not know the cause of autism, but would advise mothers that are pregnant mothers to stay off some things like smoking and drinking and all that, so right?
That's what
right.
Okay.
But say that the mother is the cause of this child being autistic is absolutely not. Okay. Saying that some would say that taking the vaccines is one of research shows that it is not. We really do not know, but I would say something. Just like we have more cases of cancer, we are having a lot more cases of autism. It could be due to the fact that people are more aware, as well as what we eat. Like I can say a lot on nutrition. Now we do not eat so much of the organic things that they used to have in the past and all that. So yes,
that could be a cause.
That could be, but
predisposing factor.
Yes, it could be a predisposing factor. Like
so it's something that just happens, and you have to live with it, not due to anybody's fault or a mistake or something. Okay, can you?
Waki, just sorry. I want to take something from her. Because it's something just like we're saying now. There are some predisposing factor, and there's no particular cure. I'm going back to medicine again. Medicine will call that idiopathy. Now, I want to ask you, why is it considered a disorder and not a disease?
Okay. I would even say that it is a difference and not a disorder. We don't want to change something that is not. We don't want to fix something that is not broken.
Okay.
You don't want to say this child is autistic does not mean that they wouldn't achieve. I mean, have you checked the list of the richest men in the world? Pretty much all of them have autistic traits. You know why? They are singularly focused. So when a child is singularly focused and knows to do that thing they know to do well, guess what? They will excel greatly at it. So that's why we come from the place of helping the child struggle less, dealing with the automated response, which is the sensory issues, as well as looking at strengths.
Okay, you equip them because of your area of specialization. You equip them to thrive, to be able to come out of this. How do you do that, for want of time? Okay,
how do we do that? Personally, I love to look at each child as an individual, not just a bottom to fill my seats. And then we look out for their strengths. When we look out for their strengths, by helping them harness upon those strengths, we are helping them become more confident, as well as there's a lot of what I do as a behavior analyst. Behavior is learned. Every behavior is learned. So those behaviors that they have that we do not want to see, we minimize those behaviors or put them in extinction while replacing them with skills. So a child that that pretty much does not have motor skills, we ensure that we help that child acquire motor skills to help that child write and function better, and all that is a lot of therapy. There's a lot of therapy.
We just have to go, Kazim. We really have to go. We would have really loved to, talk more about this, but then time is not a friend of ours.
Aww.
Thank you for being our guest this morning. It's been wonderful talking with you this morning.
Thank you.
All right. We've been talking with Zusi Bolodeoku. the name, I just like the way the name sounds.
She's a complete Nigerian.
I'm telling you. Okay, that's the size of our conversation with our guest this morning on autism. I hope you've been able to learn one or two things about it. So let's go on another quick break while we give you lifestyle and nutrition. So we give you, next on the show, we give you lifestyle and nutrition. Tolani is somewhere in the studio.